I'm Just Saying is sponsored by Zone Delivery USA. Fresh, healthy meals delivered to your door. For more information, go to zonedeliveryusa.com. Hover.com. Go to gfq.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. And by audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ. Hey everyone, welcome to I'm Just Saying Week
52.
Happy anniversary.
Happy
1
anniversary.
year.
Yay.
We've been doing this a year now.
A whole year.
A year's worth of shows in 14 months.
Okay, it's not bad.
No, we couldn't have missed. No, we started in January, and how many did we miss? Well, the holidays. Yeah, that's what screwed us up.
Yeah.
The holidays and a week here and a week there. So,
Yeah.
it makes sense. About 2 months worth
That's not
missed.
bad.
Yeah, we need break. Listen, we need
vacation time.
8 weeks worth of vacation.
Yes, we do.
We're like
Not
school
bad.
teachers,
Yeah.
except without the fancy pension.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't get a pension here at the GFK network. You guys should unionize.
I think we should.
And I fire everybody, and I just sit there by myself staring at a wall.
Yeah, we
There you
want to
go.
protest for twice what we're making now.
Exactly.
We demand at
I
least.
will raise you a nickel. On.
There you go.
You get a nickel extra every week.
And I want a coffee break.
A coffee break.
Yes.
Maybe I could do that.
But we want actual coffee.
Oh no, you won't get the coffee, just the break.
Just
you
the
got to
break.
you got to get your own coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year.
It's been a crazy week. It's been an insane week. It's been an insane week for the world. My week was kind of okay. I felt better, working out more. You know,
My week is just a mess. Just
Andrew,
yeah.
do you ever have a week that's not a mess?
I have better weeks. See, you know what's interesting? I want to talk to you guys about this. Also, it was in my head to talk about, but I have better weeks. Some weeks are better than others, but it's always a mess. It's always so insane.
Yeah, well, I think one of the reasons it's like we've made the comparisons before that you and Jess are a lot like Joe and I. You're just version 2.0.
We're just out of our minds.
Right, and that you constantly draw odd characters to your life, and they provide a lot of color, but a lot of times they provide a lot of
aggravation.
a lot of aggravation. I love my friends dearly, but I can really strangle them sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think you feel the same way. There are people that come into your life, they're so cool, and 3 weeks later it's like they're so cool, and I want to kill them.
Yeah, and I've always said this. When I was a kid, I would get bored of the people, like the kids that come over, and I would tell my mother to send them home. And I just would be bored.
You no longer amuse me. You must go.
You must leave. Off of their heads.
I haven't changed much as a child. I mean,
Apparently
the way
not.
I am
This
at 6
scares
years
me.
old, the way I was at 6 is exactly who I am now, with the goatee and the hair and everything. Nothing's changed.
Interesting.
When he was in, you had just the mustache when you were in junior high school, didn't you? You just kind of you were really trying to have the mustache, weren't you?
I had the thinned out, the thin, like what you had.
She had
I had that.
you had the John Waters pencil thin
Oh,
mustache.
God.
Yeah. He looked like a child molester when he was
When
a child.
I was a child, I looked like I was molesting my peers.
It
It was a great look
it
for
was
me.
so sad
You
and sick.
probably were.
Worked out great.
I'm sure.
But it has been, since you're talking about crazy, Charlie Sheen madness.
Charlie
Oh.
Sheen.
I don't know at what point do you stop talking about him because he doesn't deserve it, or you just need to talk about it because he does deserve it.
Did you see his show on Ustream?
No.
Oh yeah.
My God,
Winning.
he's bonkers.
Winning. That's
Yeah, well, I've been playing the sound effects constantly, but he has lost his mind, and I think something is misfiring.
Oh yeah. Well, someone said that this behavior, he claims to be clean, and everyone's like, no, he might actually be clean. This is detox behavior. This is the behavior that happens when someone is withdrawing.
It could be.
You think so? I mean,
Yeah, it could be.
the craziness. I think something
yeah.
is totally misfired.
He also could be bipolar.
Right? He could be
I mean,
self-medicating.
I think he probably is. I don't know. Something is clearly not connecting correctly.
You know what it is? I know a lot of people that have been on a lot of drugs and they've gone into recovery, and when they do, it seems like something starts to misfire. It's like something's not in gear.
Well, that the
Yeah,
the
that's
self-medicating
true. Yeah.
that he's been doing has been covering this for a long time. I don't think there's a person in the world that won't say that he's bright.
Oh,
he's
clearly.
just nuts.
He's very bright. He's very bright. He's very talented, and he's very charismatic when he's
There you
not
go.
being obnoxious. There's a reason that he's got.
Do you think he's bipolar?
I think it could be, yeah.
I'm by winning.
I set you up for that one.
Hi,
I can't get enough of
Charlie.
it. So I watched his Ustream show, and it was bizarre. He had one of his girlfriends there.
one of the goddesses.
The goddesses.
From the Sober Valley Ranch.
Is that what he calls it?
That's what he's calling his house.
He's a brilliant man. And there are times where I'm thinking, you know what, this guy's a great actor, and
It's
he's
all
just effing
calculated.
with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is a big joke to him.
He doesn't want to do the show anymore, and he has enough money, and he's wise enough to know that he's going to get the syndication rights. So
Yeah.
he's just like
He doesn't care.
He's got it pulled out, and he's whacking off on camera, basically.
Yeah. As there are times where he says something so crazy, but it's so well constructed, even though it's crazy.
I want to
You
know
would
who
think.
the first person who's going to bottle Tiger's blood.
Oh, they did.
Did they?
They did it. It's like an energy drink. He showed it on the feed.
Oh,
So it was him, his co-host, a guy that was playing sound effects, the girl, and I think another guy on the couch. And they had it was a very weird way of doing it, and they had segments. So it was what we do,
yeah.
but extremely unorganized. So it was exactly like our first show. You know what? I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever done a show that bad. Even when we did our first show, I don't think we were ever that bad of a show. There's a guy.
Yeah, you were bad, but you didn't have a name.
I didn't have a name, yeah. But I don't think we were ever that bad. And this guy is an actor, and he put together this thing, and it looked great because he had great cameras, and the lighting was decent. You know, it was dimly lit. So the video looked great. Mm-hmm. There was one guy playing sound effects, and I could just see there's like, oh, it'll be really funny. You just play sound effects. And I bet you Charlie picked out the sound effects because there were fart noises. There were like cats meowing and cows mooing. But the guy would play the fart sound effect every second and wouldn't just stop. It was like he was 5 and he thought it was the most hysterical thing ever. He was just playing it. Charlie's talking about his career, and the guy's playing the
so
fart sound
annoying.
effect in the background that's not even hooked up properly. It was a mess.
Really annoying.
By the way, a million people have watched it. Over a million people at this point.
Well,
But-
he set that record, you know.
But
like,
wait,
yeah,
they
Twitter.
did say that people tuned in at the beginning and then.
Oh, no. But that's BS because I watched nearly the entire thing. I watched till about 20 minutes left.
Well, you did.
It was an hour.
You
the
did,
number
but-
was consistent. He had about 141,000 people at any given time watching that thing. Insane. And the replay now got even more. It has like 2 million viewers.
I'll kill for
a
those
million
numbers.
viewers.
I'd go for those numbers.
He came on yesterday too.
I just came in the house and told you that it's official. He's fired from the show.
Done. He's over. It's over.
It's over. And my favorite quote is, "I don't have to wear those stupid shirts anymore."
That's what he said.
Yeah, that was his big regret.
What are they going to do with the show now?
I don't know, but I really, I hope they're going to honor their contracts with the other people and pay them. And that's,
I would think that they would try, wisely or not. What they're going to have to do is like
apparently they did offer the part to John Stamos, and he turned it down.
He originally denied that they had, but he has come out since and said, "Yeah, they did offer me the show."
I'm trying to see. I'm not finding any fired from. Oh yeah. He was just fired. Yeah. He was fired from 2.5 Men. So I mean, they'll replace him with somebody who's as much of a screw up as him. His brother. Why can't they get his brother to do it?
I think.
I
do
not think they will replace him with somebody who's
Charlie
a screw-up.
should perish in some fabulously written version, because as much as Charlie is knocking Chuck Lorre, the writer, that show's writing is really good.
Really good.
It is
yeah.
really
good. But it's written for Charlie.
Right.
They said, how about Gary Busey? Brian in the chat room. Someone that's more of a script than Charlie. I'm trying to think who has that whole Charlie thing going.
Nick
You know what?
Nolte.
You know
Nick
what?
Nolte.
They should bring Celebrity Rehab
Yes,
to
Kevin
Charlie's house.
Conway.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin Conway, the guy that plays.
No, but I'm thinking like who has that whole Charlie Sheen thing going? Because I'm trying to I could see the
The
person.
person
in my head.
has to still be somewhat charismatic.
Charismatic,
Yeah.
likable, but total party boy at
Right.
the age of 45.
See, if Clooney was still doing TV, he would have been a natural step
But you
in.
know what's interesting? Clooney was a party boy, but Clooney was always well put together.
Did you hear what Clooney said the other day about
What'd he
running
say?
for politics? This is great. Did you hear this, hon?
Yeah.
They said, Mr. Clooney, would you ever run for office? And he said, nope. Did too many drugs and slept with too many women.
No, that's funny.
He said, I didn't live the life that would allow
But
me to.
I don't think he ever was a party boy to that extent.
Clooney?
Yeah, I think he was a party boy, one girl at a time, kind
I
of.
think he liked women, and he went out with a lot of women, and
He also slept with a lot of older women.
Yes,
older
he did.
women.
Yes, he did.
Because his aunt was a famous actress.
Rosemary Clooney.
Rosemary Clooney. There you
Yeah.
go.
I don't think. Yes, I'm sure he did his partying, his drugs, and whatever when he was younger. But I don't think he ever was an addict. I don't think he ever trashed motel rooms. I don't.
Never brought kids into the story.
Yeah, he does not have that kind of.
He was married
past.
once
He was married very, very briefly.
to a woman named Talia Balsam, who's the daughter of Martin Balsam, who's a famous actor.
I want to continue this, but we need to take a little break. We need to talk about our sponsor, Zone Delivery USA. Fresh, healthy meals delivered to your door, Joe. You commented. You said, "Look how thin."
Why
you
are you
look."
looking at me? You think I'm fat?
No, because we were just talking about this
I
before.
think that's what he was saying.
I
in
think
his
it
own
was.
Absolutely
special
not.
way.
I think you look great. You were telling me how thin I look,
You do.
and you're a little concerned. And then I told you I'm on the Zone Delivery system, and you said as long as you're eating, because
I did.
I've dropped tremendously, tremendous amounts of weight I've lost. 26 pounds. I've slowed down the last couple of weeks, but I'm still going down a pound here, 2 pounds there.
That's a lot of weight
A lot
in
of
such a
weight.
short time.
Yeah, a lot of weight.
It really is. It really, really is.
I want to hit 160. I want to hit around 160.
What are you now?
165. 165 to 167, 168.
Okay.
Like I'll bounce up and down.
Yeah, everybody does.
But I'm eating. I'm full. Three meals, two snacks.
It's healthy food.
Yeah.
It's a well-balanced diet. It's probably much healthier food than you were eating.
Oh my God! You know what it is, and I'm going to say this because I'm a fan of Zone, and I don't want you to get the wrong impression of it. You do get healthy meals.
Mm-hmm.
You do get it delivered to your door. 3 meals, 2 snacks.
That's
So
excellent.
you're constantly eating. But the amount of calories I was putting in my system was 4,000 calories someday. So going down.
Well, you were living on pizza and beer.
Pizza and beer. I mean, and everything in between,
And chips.
Chips and cookies and this and that. When I went on the meal, when I went on Zone, the first 3 days were hard because it's like your body goes into shock.
Sure.
You're cutting 75% of the calories that you've been taking
That's
in.
right.
Because I'm still getting, what is it? 1,200 is a healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the calorie count is. So
you're a guy and you're still young. It's probably a little bit higher.
a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So when I went on the meal, it was a little hard the first 3 days, but after that, totally changed. I can't go out to dinner and finish the meal now.
Really?
Yeah, because we always got the appetizers, 2 meals, plus the drinks. I tried to go out and I got something. I got fish and I got vegetables, which is pretty healthy. I couldn't finish it. I ate half and I couldn't do it anymore. It was weird because I know how much I could eat. But Zone has been a great help in losing weight. I'm just starting to exercise now. And you can get started too. They're offering a special discount to GFQ viewers.
Wow.
So if you contact Zone, go to zonedeliveryusa.com and get started, and they'll give you a special discount if you tell them you heard it on the show. zonedeliveryusa.com.
Yay.
That was good. I think I did a good job with that one. I think it was good. I'll pat myself on the back.
Okay.
There you go.
You know why?
And now you can reach your back.
You know why I congratulate myself? There's this one viewer that sends me a message every time I do a corny segue. Because I do it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because I'm going to talk about Zone. And I do that purposely. He'll send me an email and go, you suck at doing these ads. You don't know transitions. You do it in the wrong time, in the wrong place. And then he starts talking about how I have too many ads. I have 2 advertisers. So he'll constantly talk about that. And then he goes, and what bothers me the most is when you congratulate yourself and you say, wow, I did a good read after each one. And he thinks I'm really congratulating myself. Like he doesn't understand that I'm joking because everything is done literally. This person also has accused me of spreading way too much gossip about my relationship.
Do I know this person?
No. It's a nutty viewer that I'll definitely hear from when I do this. They've complained about numerous things.
So honey doesn't think
insane.
it's me at all.
Oh.
It's Lon. I knew it.
if they're so bothered, why
No,
are they
man, I
watching
thought-
the show?
Because
Man,
people like to be bothered.
I thought it
and
was
complain.
the greatest read ever, Andrew.
Thank you, Lon.
And I thought you truly were in your zone. Go.
Oh, God.
Since you're on the subject of Zone, Lon, let me tell you a little something about ZoneDeliveryUSA.com.
You are so lame.
Absolutely. Hey, I was thinking that that there must be someone who totally loves Charlie Sheen at this point.
I do.
Who are you
You
going to
do?
say?
Me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think
I don't mean the people, but I mean, understand when I say, don't you think Tiger Woods just loves Charlie Sheen
yeah.
right now?
Oh yeah.
Well, who was it? Who were we talking about before Charlie? Oh yeah, I forgot the whole thing in Libya. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, the
Isn't
whole.
that crazy? I mean,
Oops.
this is the society we are. You know, Egypt first. Tunisia happened. Nobody really cared about that. Then Egypt happened, and
That was
everybody.
pretty interesting.
Oh my God, revolution! And then we're like, what's next? What's next? And then of course Anderson Cooper is really behind it, and they announce, in Libya, and now we've forgotten about Libya because Charlie Sheen.
Absolutely.
He's gone bonkers.
Oh.
I wonder what other countries are thinking about Charlie Sheen.
How about our countries
Another-
thinking about Charlie Sheen?
Another stupid American going
Yeah, I
berserk.
think that's probably what they're thinking.
I have to think that other countries just sit and go, really?
But
Yeah.
I will say, the Brits love to look down upon us for, our news being obsessed with celebrities and stuff. Have you ever been there and seen their gossip sheets?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God,
they're
they're way worse than ours. They're horrible.
Does Princess Margaret love horse penis?
I mean,
Page
they're
3.
oh yeah, they're horrible. They're horrible. So
I think it's the same everywhere. I think we like to look at everybody and criticize and
It's how you feel better.
Yeah.
well, it's also really, if you think about it, it's much easier to think about crazy Charlie Sheen, who really doesn't affect your life, than to think about like possible war in the Middle East.
yeah, because we like to think about, stupid crap.
Right.
I think the thing about Charlie
safer.
is it's fascinating because they've made it fascinating.
right.
The media made it fascinating. So we're all into it and we're all hyping it, and
Right, 'cause you
Charlie
take-
is running with that, and
take-
he's making a fortune now.
Take
off of it.
Charlie Sheen and take the celebrity away from him. I've met this guy in a bar.
Right.
He's not all that fascinating.
No, he's not all that fascinating.
Like,
and
well, you know what it
certainly
is?
don't want this guy in your
he's
family.
interesting for 15 minutes, and then your table's ready, and you get to
Yeah.
leave.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's really
I
what
don't
it's all
think-
about.
I think it's a big facade. I think it's all phony. He knows exactly what he's doing. The guy's a genius.
No, I don't think so.
You think he's really gone off his?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know.
I do. It's been going on for a long time. If he,
But you know what? That family does have that wackiness. Martin Sheen is a little nutty.
Oh,
Martin
yeah.
Sheen
With the
is a little
conspiracy
nutty, but he's not
theories and-
crazy.
I don't know.
I mean, some of his theories are a little nutty, but he's not nuts. And he has. I mean, he was being interviewed, and I mean, unless he's acting, he looked genuinely concerned
Who,
about
Martin Sheen?
his son. Yes, and so did the brother. So
I love it when Charlie Sheen uses the word gnarly. He's like, yeah, my dad, he's gnarly and all, but I'm like, what happened to your voice?
Yeah, all of
Yeah.
a sudden, as this has happened, he's become much more whiskey voiced.
Yeah.
yeah, that is true. But apparently now they're estranged.
Wouldn't you be estranged if I
What?
started acting that way?
They are once again estranged. He has been estranged from his father.
He has a
and
20-something-year-old daughter.
Who, Sheen?
Charlie, yeah.
Really?
21-year-old daughter, yeah. He has 5 kids. 2 with Brooke Mueller, 2 with
I didn't
Denise
know
Richards,
that.
and then the other one, the first one.
Really?
Yeah, and she is... it seems like Charlie's antics have really taken a toll on that poor girl.
Oh wow.
Because she's very overweight, and she's not really fitting the whole Hollywood thing. And they say she's not really... she's really upset by his behavior all these years.
Well, that would be understandable.
I feel bad. Can you imagine this poor girl? 20 years she's dealt with having Charlie Sheen as a father and the insanity of.
No, I can't imagine.
Because you never hear about her.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Well,
she
do you know
existed.
that?
Honestly,
Do you know that there's another Osborne kid, and she refused to be on the show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're very close. She's
Yep.
very,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
very much part of
absolutely.
the family.
She just didn't want to. She didn't want to play.
Yeah, she just didn't want to play. She was on. It was very funny.
Long before there was the Osmonds.
The Osbournes, the reality show. We had watched something on the Travel Channel, which was
Celebrity Homes.
like Celebrity Homes, and they went to Ozzy's home,
Mm-hmm.
and they did.
Oh yeah, and the daughter was on that.
Yes, that daughter was on that.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time we watching it and we're hysterical laughing. And we both were like, this guy could be his own show. He's hilarious. And shortly thereafter,
Was that like? I think that was like the first. I guess that was one of the first like big reality
Yeah,
shows,
it was.
right?
For celebrity
Yeah.
reality shows. He
Yeah.
made a killing off of it. Think about it. The entire family made a fortune.
yeah,
They didn't need it, but they made it.
yeah. No, they didn't need it, but
I don't know, but this whole Charlie Sheen thing, it's
I'm over him.
yeah.
I'm over him. Totally over him. So let's talk about something else.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you saw me post on the my Facebook thing. There's a bunch of soldiers now that have offered to run in between that crazy group that is appearing at the funerals of soldiers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They've been doing that for a while.
It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
You know what the name of the group is?
what?
You know what they call they're the God Hates Fags group, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they call themselves.
That's what they call themselves?
Yeah, that's
I
what
didn't
they go
realize
by.
that's what they call themselves.
And do you I don't know if you know, we saw a bit of coverage on them. They're a family from Oklahoma, and they're a church of 140 people, and basically they say that all suffering is born out of the fact that America embraces
The
homosexuality.
Westboro Baptist Church.
Yes.
That's the one. Yeah.
But there are a well-off family of attorneys.
Let's see. The Westboro, the WBC is an independent Baptist church known for its extreme stance on for anti-homosexuality and its protest activities, picketing funerals,
It's
and
disgusting.
discarding. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any information on them. It's headed by Fred Phelps, the member of his largest family. 2007 had 71. So I guess now it has 100 and something.
There are a couple of he's got a couple of kids. That
They're from Kansas.
Is it Kansas?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Oklahoma, Kansas, same thing.
The church has been actively. I'm trying to find. I never heard that there were lawyers because the people
Yeah.
that I've seen protest, like his kids, Shirley. I think her name is Shirley. She does a lot of radio appearances.
I actually just heard this on, I guess it was NPR or something. Yeah, that they're attorneys.
Maybe he is, and
They're
and
all
a couple of
attorneys,
other
and what
ones.
they do is they
Yeah.
basically get the money to travel to do these because they travel
Well,
in
who?
vans.
The family's an attorney?
The family is a family of attorneys.
Yeah, it's a family of attorneys.
I'm not too sure because I've seen some of them, like their kids, and they are not attorneys. This woman does not look like an attorney
We
in
don't
any
know.
way. There was a documentary on them
There was?
years ago, yeah, and I watched it. I believe it was on A&E. It was something like that, and they were showing it, and it was crazy to see these kids and just the warped out mentality. And there was a teenage girl, and she's screaming about homosexuality, and she's talking about it like, she goes, yeah, but like the things that she was saying was so crazy,
Absurd.
but she genuinely believes that this is true.
Well, that's fine. She has the right in this country to believe what she wants, as ridiculous and ill-informed it is. But I'm sorry, going to the
Disgusting,
funeral of a dead... First of all, it makes no sense.
They're anti-Catholicism, they're anti-Eastern Orthodox, they're anti-Islam, anti-Hindu, anti-Judaism,
What's wrong with...
anti-race and ethnicity, anti-Barack Obama, anti-military,
Anti-freeze and anti-pasta.
Anti-pasta, anti-freeze.
I don't understand the anti-military. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. They're protesting all these poor guys that come back.
I think it's they found a way
Publicity.
to make the noise. I just and the Supreme Court this week. This is one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. The Supreme Court this week said that they are within their rights to do this. Did you know that this
It's
week?
disgusting.
There was a Supreme Court decision that this group was in their rights to do this.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the first time they've gone to court over
Because
this.
it's
Right.
public speech. They're
free
saying
speech, yeah.
it's free speech. But I don't understand how it's public, because a funeral, unless you're holding it
Well,
out
they can't
in the
go.
street.
Yeah, they can't. They're not going inside of the funeral. They're going outside. So if it's an outdoor, when they're burying the body, they go across the street and they start picketing.
Yeah.
That's how they get by.
But I know it's a real technicality because it's a private event.
So
Yeah.
there's a group of Christian soldiers that are basically starting to appear when this group appears, and they they stand between the family and the Phelps protesters.
This is insane. This family.
Well, this is what we were just like.
But what do you get out of this? I mean, this is what I don't understand. What are they getting out of doing
They
this?
believe that
I
the
don't
more they
know.
talk about this, the more people will go, this keeps happening. Maybe they're right. Maybe God is punishing us. Maybe God is punishing America because we embrace homosexuality.
Right.
By the way, I haven't heard that they're family lawyers. I don't know if that's true.
The national NPR did a report on them. the other day.
Yeah, I've
That's
actually
interesting.
heard it in several places.
Yeah, there's a family of lawyers, which is one of the reasons they've been so successful, because what they do is anyone that's tried to shut them down, they have sued. Not only won their right to speak, but they've sued them, and that money has propagated their ability to do this.
Yeah, the attorney who so I guess they are. I guess maybe the top people are attorneys.
They do
But
have
you know what? They're disbarred. A lot of them are disbarred attorneys.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're disbarred attorneys.
But that doesn't matter because the government is corrupt because it welcomes homosexuals. So therefore,
Yeah.
they don't want to be part of it anyway.
It's crazy. I mean,
Makes
isn't
absolutely
that
no sense.
Right. Well, I think one of the huge problems, this is what we were talking about. This is what we talk about at breakfast, Andrew. We were talking about the fact that the biggest battle between so many things in this world is between, yes, you have a right to do something, but you have a responsibility to use that right, wisely
Sure.
and beneficently. Yeah, I have a right to say what I want, but I don't have a right to instigate. I don't have a right to hurt.
But this is where the problem lies. If they decide, well, you know what, you can't protest, they're taking away your
Right, exactly.
your freedom of speech. And then for the people who do it under, just reasoning,
Someone can have a problem with
have
them.
a problem with that and shut
Absolutely.
them down too. So
I totally understand the Supreme Court's decision. It's just that we get to a point where laws are now really, what laws do is they regulate people who won't regulate themselves.
yeah.
That they just won't. That they
I think
won't.
someone, I think what'll happen is
Some crazy person that's not me is going to decide
Yeah.
that this is a really bad thing that they're doing
yeah.
and take care of it.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
And
then
I'm
that's
counting
when
the
it'll start.
days.
Yeah, hopefully.
But
We should have a pool.
it does bear in mind the question of just because you have the right to do something, does that make it okay to do? Like, where is your responsibility? Where is that line that people just cross without thinking about, I have the right to do this. Well, yeah, but that doesn't make it smart or wise or kind
Yeah.
It's
or
the Chris Rock line. You can drive your car with your feet. It doesn't make it a good idea.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that.
Well,
There's
at what point do you draw a line? I mean, the same thing with the whole WikiLeaks thing, right?
absolutely.
Julian Assange, yeah, it's horrible what he did, but once you start saying, well, you can't publish that, then you're going to, you go to the New York Times and you tell them you can't publish that, and you go to the Daily News, and it
Right.
just goes down, down, down. At what point do you draw the line? And it's hard when you do that. It has to be black or white for the purpose of knowing where to draw the line, because if it's not black or white, then the lines start shifting back and forth on whatever case may be.
well,
Listen,
yeah, you don't want.
I mean, listen, I'm not
Nobody wants
defending it, but I'm
censorship.
saying, at what point does it start affecting regular press and positive press?
Well, frankly, the answer to free speech when it's used badly, poorly, negatively as hate speech is more free speech. Is you have the right to speak out against what they're doing, and you have the right to organize against what someone's doing if you disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't want it misunderstood. I totally think that the Supreme Court decision was right. However, I do not think what the guy is doing is right.
yeah.
No, it's
And
disgusting.
how do you stop something like that? How does that how
I
do
think
you
I think
prevent something like that from these disgusting people
I
from
think you
protesting?
stop it by speaking up about it and by doing things like this
Speaking up
Christian
louder.
organization is trying to do, where they're saying that they will go and they will support the families and provide a buffer between the families.
I also think you handle it economically. You make it as unprofitable for them to do this as they possibly can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that entails, but you make it as unprofitable as possible.
Well, if for example, you find out that a certain company that makes a certain product is engaging in really unethical practices, you don't buy their products. You tell other people not to buy their products. I mean, that's what you do.
I don't know, but they're crazy people. I mean, crazy people.
Well, crazy people are hard to deal with.
First of all, what they're doing is insane.
Right.
So
it makes no sense.
Yeah, none of it makes sense. Why would you?
It's very hard to deal with
leave
crazy
everything
people.
alone. You know what? Live your life. Enjoy your life.
But
why are you so affected?
The three of us can sit here and agree and talk
really
about it
don't
for
know.
centuries. I don't know what can actually be done except for, they say things go wrong when good people do nothing.
Exactly.
So here's my deal and my promise. If there are people lining up in between the Phelps people and a family burying their child or burying a relative,
I will stand with them.
I'll stand with them. That's my promise.
Yeah, I will stand with them.
It's insane. It's insane. Out of all the things that we could protest and fight for, these people are wasting their energy on something so horrible.
Well, what's also so ridiculous is that they're going to funerals of dead soldiers who are
because
not
it's
even
morbid,
necessarily
because it's morbid and it's
and it
like
draws attention.
Yeah, and it's a horrible thing to do, and it's something you wouldn't even question. You wouldn't even think twice about it. And this is what these people are doing. So they're getting that. Oh my God, they're despicable, but it's bringing attention to
right.
them,
It
and they're
gives
getting
them
coverage.
notoriety.
And they'll get a handful of crazies to join them.
Exactly. And you know what? Out of let's say 1 million people that saw that coverage, maybe 5 are out of their minds like them, and they'll join them. And so you're adding more fuel to the fire.
And those crazy people have a lot more dedication to a cause.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that's why
look at me.
Right. That's why they make soldiers 18, because at this point, Andrew, you're not even, forget me. I'm ancient, But if I said, Andrew, I need you to go fight this war right now, you'd be like, I got stuff to do and I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
18-year-olds like, yeah, fight and die, because they don't believe they're going to.
Right. They think they're immortal.
Like me. I'll only die if you cut off my head.
Yeah, you don't see the Phelps group
I
coming
see.
in and protesting Broadway shows.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a pretty
really.
gay thing. Yeah.
Now, I mean, if really they were going to address this issue, why are they not
They should be out-
protesting musical theater?
Or Project Runway.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, if you
That's a
I mean,
pretty good.
seriously.
I think,
know
I
why?
think you gave them a new idea.
Well, no, they would never do that because the hotels that they would have to stay in would be so expensive in New York. See, they're doing cost efficient. They're going to the middle of east, going to the middle of nowhere.
Isn't there musical theater anywhere else?
No, not really.
Right.
They're much wiser. There's country western music, and then New York has musical theater.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think you gave them a new idea, Lon. I think you gave them a brand new idea,
great.
brand new thing to
Sorry,
start
guys.
doing. Let's start protesting
But
us.
you know what? They'd be outnumbered there.
This is true.
You get some guys up from a leather bar down on Christopher Street. Those people
Really?
are dead.
Somebody said, why don't they start protesting the YMCA?
Yeah, there you go.
That's really funny.
Actually, it's very funny. Yesterday, we had it was that horrible rainy day, and it was one of those Sundays that you just sort of don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, it was.
And so
You don't leave the house anyway.
yeah, that's true. We ended up
I sometimes do, Lon.
watching a bunch of old movies, and Phyllis and I were so excited because for the first time in many, many years, the original Where the Boys Are was on TV last night.
No idea what that is.
It's the original Spring Break movie.
Yes, it was the original Spring Break movie, 1960. Connie Francis sang a very famous song. It became a huge hit. Someone waits for me. We're totally out of tune here. Anyway, Connie Francis was a very big pop singer at the time, and she had a big #1 hit, and the movie was very successful. Anyway, it used to run every year right before Easter. Okay.
The traditional showing of Where the Boys Are.
Yes, the traditional showing of Where the Boys Are. It used to run every year. And I loved that movie. I would watch it every year. Well, it hasn't been on TV in 15 years, maybe 20 years. So we were really excited that it was on. And it turned out, I never knew, we were watching the credits, that it was based on a book. So
you just found this out.
I just found this out yesterday.
I've known this for years, Joe. How
right, because
how
you
have
had
you
never heard of it.
I knew the book. I didn't know that they
made
did
it
something
into
as Toddler and made it into a movie. I'm not a big cinema person.
So today I was in Barnes & Noble, and I went to the information desk, and I actually found the book. You cannot get it. They can't get it for you in print, but I can have it downloaded onto my Nook. So I am going to read the original book. I'm so excited.
It's going to be horrible.
Do you have American Pie, the novella?
Actually, this is what's very interesting. We were watching the movie last night, and after the movie was over, Phyllis and I were talking, and, it was presented and advertised as a fluff movie, because it's a spring break movie.
Is it like they're running on the beach and the guy loves the girl and they don't know?
No, it's more.
What do you mean by a spring break movie? I didn't know spring break existed in 1960.
Well, like one of those beach
spring
beach
break
movies.
There were
existed
beaches in 1960.
Yes, there were beaches in 1960.
Yes,
Spring-
the waters.
As a matter of fact, the original spring break was down in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
That's where it sort of originated, and that's where this takes place. They go down to Fort Lauderdale for spring break.
And what do they do?
Well,
What do you do in 1960?
Drink
How
a lot.
How do they communicate with each other?
Yeah, by hand gesture, smoke signals. They drink.
There
they
are lots
dance,
of
they party.
caves in Fort Lauderdale.
But what I was going to
Operator, give me 542, please.
No, Sarah, connect me with. Yeah, you don't even know that. The operator used to know the operator in town. I'd be at my house and I'd go, yeah, Sarah, can you get Andrew for me? They don't even say Andrew. Who? That's how
They know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, anyway, a lot of the movie is very fluffy, but there is a dark element to the film and a serious element to the film. And I actually remember reading an article once about movies that were used to make social commentary, but they were
Kind of hidden in there.
yes, exactly. And that's exactly what this film is.
What was it about?
Basically sexual mores at the time and the changing sexual mores of that era.
Because in 1960, it came out in 1960.
Yes,
so
literally
you
it's
haven't
1960.
you haven't hit that whole
No.
hippie thing and the free love and sex.
No,
thing.
no,
That's
no.
hysterical. 'Cause
No.
In addition to that, I'll side with for just a minute. I watched a PBS special yesterday called The Troubadours, and it was about the place in Santa Monica called The Troubadour, which the guy hired people who were singer-songwriters. That's what he did. When he booked acts, he booked singer-songwriters. So you had Carole King and James Taylor and Jackson Brown and all these people, Bonnie Raitt, people who sang their own music. It was very, distinct. And David Crosby of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, who was, party boy from way back, he said, there was a time after birth control and before AIDS. That was a good time. And it really was. But Where the Boys Are takes place
right before that.
Right before that.
So the whole hippie thing started mid to late 60s.
Yes.
It was towards the end.
But
But
just
so much changed from 1958 to 1968. A lot changed.
Oh, yeah, it was a different world.
It was a totally different world, and I was young, but I was old enough to remember and be aware of what was happening. In 1960, girls still were expected to get married right out of, if you did go to college, you got married right out of college. And if you were not a virgin, word got around, you were a bad girl, and that really started to change during the Austin Powers era, the Cole Carnaby Street thing.
The mods.
But this was right before that. And what was interesting, though, is that I think it was 1959, 58, possibly, in the late 50s, the first major study of sexuality, female sexuality, in the United States was done. It was called the Kinsey Report.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it was extremely controversial.
What was so controversial about it?
That women were talking about sex at
so
all.
This is the first time that we find out that women
actually
talk about sex
or enjoy it.
Actually enjoy it or
seek
it or wanted it. Now, these were married women, okay?
Yeah. That's how they got away with it.
So
it wasn't like, some 20-something that's sleeping around.
Right.
Yeah.
Married women talking about their sex lives and how many women were unfulfilled in their sex lives and were upset about it.
Yeah.
This was all very revolutionary.
I have to take a minute. This is really interesting, but I want to talk about a sponsor. I know, we always get on these great topics, and I just have to stop because I have a deal. I have to meet the time.
But Andrew, it was a fabulous segue, though, man. The transition
was great, right?
Amazing.
Well, we're hovering in that area.
Hovering in that area.
And that's why I want to talk about hover.com. Domain name is made simple. They are, and I have to tell you guys, I want to get Joanna to buy a domain name on the air because you guys, by your own admission, are techno-amish.
Yes, very.
I want both of you. Maybe we could do it next week. Maybe I could coach you during a weekend and show you how it's done.
Oh, Lord.
So it looks like you know what you're doing. And
cool.
Joanna's almost going to spit out the water on the mic.
Let's try that once.
So, no, what we'll do is maybe next week I won't coach or anything, and I'll say, okay, you know what, Joe? Go to this website and buy a domain name. And I want to see how easy it is for you to buy a domain. Because a lot of these other companies...
We should do it on air.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do it on air.
That's what he's saying.
So both of you go on there and you guys buy a domain.
Oh, God.
And the reason why I'm so confident they'll be able to do is a lot of these other sites, when you go buy a domain, they try to upsell you and they really confuse you. And even for me, there are times where I'm, previously before, I started buying it from Hover, I would buy it from, let's say, the company that has Joan Rivers as a sponsor, as like their spokesperson. So you go to these people, and when you're buying the domain, there's a ton of upsell. I mean, an insane amount of upsell. And they put, do you want to add this, and do you want to add that, and do you need this protection, and do you need that protection, and do you need certification, do you need spam guard, and do you need... It'll make your mind explode, but a lot of people, and it's done in a really bad way, will hit yes because they feel like they need it. Do you need security, private security, blah, blah, blah? So you hit yes, and they charge you another $10 and another $5. And a $10 domain or a $15 domain ends up becoming $40. And that's how they make their profit. With Hover, you don't see any of that.
Okay.
You go there, really clean. They say, what site do you want? You put it in. Is it available? Is it not available? They tell you. If it's available, you go and you buy the domain. Private registration is included. So people don't find out if you own the website. There are a lot of people that go and search who owns websites.
Excellent.
And that's added in. With other companies, they charge you for that. They charge you about $5. They're putting it in. And you get a 10% off discount if you go to gfq.hover.com and you buy the domain. Another thing they do is they allow you to do transfers of your domains. So if you have a domain with another company, let's say you're with thebikedaddy.com, which Lon's company, and he sells you domain names. I don't know. I just came up with something. I don't
sounds way cooler than he is, but go on.
So Lon's company sells domains, and you already have 2 years with that company. You just bought a domain. And you say, you know what? I don't want to support this anymore, but I'm stuck for 2 years. I don't want to lose those 2 years. With Hover, you transfer it over. They have a $25 transfer fee if you call them. but they're waiving that. So you don't even have to do the transfer. They do it for you. It doesn't matter if you have one or if you have 100. They'll transfer all of them for free. All you need to do is pay for that 1 year.
That's excellent.
That's required not by them, by Hover, but by, I forgot ICANN, or I forgot the company, the organization that supports it. So you get that plus the 10%, so you get it for $9. You're actually saving money, and it's an additional year, and they honor your previous 2 years. So you don't lose anything if you go to Hover. They just make it extremely easy, and they make it simple for you, and the interface is unbelievable. I absolutely love Hummer. I love Hummer vehicles. I love Hover.
That was a fabulous segue, Andrew.
We want to talk about our new Hummer line of vehicles. And they do an unbelievable job, and I'm so proud that this company has chosen us, because when you think of a company that really is on the up and up and really does not try to screw their customers, it's very rare. And with Hover, you get that attention, you feel comfortable with them. Mm-hmm. Even down to his customer support, where you call them, there's no hold time. It's them. They pick up.
That's great.
There's no hold. None of that exists. So they really try to make it about the customer rather than about themselves. And I'm really thankful they're here. Hover.com. Get 10% off. You go to gfq.hover.com. Thank you, Hover.
Yay.
Back to you, Joanna, and your sexual revolution story.
And my sexual revolution story. Well,
your personal sexual
actually,
revolution.
As I said, there's a dark element to the film. And I guess I'm not giving anything away.
No, it's
because of the hordes of people that are storming Blockbuster looking for the DVD of Where the Boys Are.
Well, actually, you really should see it. Very much a time capsule of the period. But one of the girls, it's 4 girls, they go down to Fort Lauderdale. And one of the girls meets a guy that she thinks is in love with her. Mm-hmm. That she thinks loves her, and she, crosses the line with him, and
she goes all the way.
She ends up getting tricked by his friend and date raped, basically.
Okay. How was she tricked?
She thinks she's meeting the guy at some motel. Okay. And he's drunk, partying, so he sends his friend instead and says, go have a good time with her, basically, and the friend, rapes her. Which, for 1960, is pretty dark stuff to put in a film that was marketed to young people.
Yeah.
It really was. It was pretty dark stuff.
It was a sort of, don't let this happen to you.
Yeah, well, I saw this movie, at home with my mother one year.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! You see what happens?
Is that what you were saying?
Oh yeah! You see what happens?
Were you terrified?
I was 11. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I was. But what was interesting is today when I found the book, the guy at Barnes & Noble helped me find it. I was reading the description, and the book was written by a psychology professor who actually had gone down to Fort Lauderdale during spring break
and saw
to observe, with some students and observed the interaction and whatnot. And the book sort of came out of that. And I would bet you the book is actually a lot more serious. I'm sure the book is darker than even the movie is.
But that's didn't you say the same thing about
Gidget? The original Gidget
do you know
books?
No, I don't know what that is.
Gidget was.
You don't know Gidget?
I don't.
Sally Field was the original. Actually, the movies predated. Sally
the movies
Field.
predate was Sandra D.
Sandra D played Gidget, and she was a girl. Gidget stood for girl midget.
Yes,
she was a little girl, not a little girl. She was a short, petite girl who hung out with these new and upcoming radical guys who were surfers.
On the beach in Malibu.
And it was the first popularization of the surfing culture.
Really?
Yeah.
It actually, that movie, that series of movies really were responsible for creating this
beach culture,
whole image of beach culture in California and Malibu.
What year did it come out? Let me see here.
The original Gidget is 50.
50 something. probably mid 50s.
1957.
Yeah. And
and the basically surfers were like, hippies closer to the equator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. Yeah. They,
Why was everybody so doughy? Like in the 1950s?
nobody worked out.
Nobody
Like
worked out.
everybody's so doughy.
Well, because there was no working out. There was no gym. You didn't go to the gym.
There was no need to be cut.
No, that's what everybody looked
go
like.
Go find who was considered the most handsome man at the time, and he's not cut up at all.
Those guys were in great shape.
There were a couple.
But
a
they
matter
were
of
in
fact,
shape.
when you did see people who were cut up, people
It was
thought
weird.
they were kind of freaky looking.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at a picture of Sally Field, and
She did the TV show.
she always had an old face, but now she looks so good
I
as
know.
an older woman. But
I
she
know.
always looked old. Like I'm looking at a picture of her from 1965, and she has to be young. She has to be
She was a
young
kid.
She was like
and
15.
she
when-
looks
I think-
looks old. She looks like a
She
old
was-
woman playing a young child.
She had a little monkey face, kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah, and she had a lot of wrinkles going on.
She was cute,
And she
though.
looks great now.
Yeah.
She looks amazing.
Because she looks the same.
Yeah.
She basically looks
Yeah,
the same.
she has the
She
same
grew
face.
into her face.
She did grow into her face. But the TV show was a little like it was the early 60s. And the whole Gidget thing really popularized that whole, beach boy, surfer kind of image. It created it, really. Because the actual surfers were a very small group of people.
Yeah.
They were a very small group
Yeah,
of people.
what was the movie we saw that did the whole history of the surf
Ride
culture?
Ride the Wild Giants, I think it was called.
Yeah, great surf. One of the
It's a
greatest surfing,
documentary on the early surfers.
and travels right through today to people like Laird Hamilton
It's
and stuff.
really fascinating. It's really, really fascinating.
I'm looking at a picture of Sally Fields now.
And we're off.
But yeah, but the books, the original Gidget books,
We're
are
much darker.
much darker than the movies were. And the original movie, the first one, is much darker than the TV show ever was.
Right.
It was an interesting time when you look at what people said and
Well,
what people did and how people behaved and
Well,
we were such
also
a,
what was available to people. Like people, didn't they know better? No, they didn't. They
No,
did
they
not know
didn't.
this. People didn't have sex with the abandon that they do now because you couldn't. Not only did you...
Well, if
could
you got
not-
knocked up, your life was over.
Right. You married the guy that knocked you up.
You
Boom.
got pregnant, you
Yeah.
got married.
and you tried your best to lie about when you what day and
Right.
what month and God.
Right. And most
Hey, my
boys'
dad
families would-
was a shotgun wedding.
yeah. Well,
lot
now,
of people were.
you know what I was going to wonder? What was the stigma with men when they did that? Was there a negative stigma, or you were just being
No,
a man?
because you couldn't prove it. You'd say, no, it never happened.
Yeah, except a lot it depended, because in a lot of families, if the girl got pregnant, if the boy's family was kind of conservative and whatever, they would also insist that their son do the right thing.
But there was never that stigma that do the right thing. But
There was
that
no...
was,
you
you weren't like outed from society like many women were.
No,
Yeah.
you weren't
No.
outed. You weren't outed from society.
You went up into the 70s with people, up into the 70s easily with when a kid was born out of wedlock. That was a stigma on the mother and the child.
Listen, when I was in college, which was a little bit later, we didn't have to worry about AIDS or any of that stuff. The biggest fear we had was getting pregnant and your parents finding out, or your parents even finding out that you were having sex.
Yeah.
That was like the big, you didn't tell your parents.
And now it's
couldn't know.
expected.
Yeah, you couldn't know. I mean, your parents couldn't know. I remember going away for the weekend to Wildwood on the Jersey Shore
Yeah.
with my boyfriend, and this was probably like 1976 or something like that. And I don't know what I told my mother I was doing, but I went away with my boyfriend, and we actually had to. There were motels where you could have a problem getting a room
Because you weren't.
because we were not a married couple.
They'd want to see a marriage license.
Yep.
That's funny,
Yes.
huh?
And this was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I remember being in the pool at one of the hotels and overhearing one of the teenage girls talking to her friend and going, you know what? They're not married. And they were like scandalized.
Because you got a room.
Because they saw us together.
Yeah.
You know, we had a room. We weren't married.
That's so crazy.
When a friend of mine went up to...
You don't even think twice now, you know?
Right.
Oh, God, please.
Nothing.
A friend of mine went up to Cape Breton Island, which is on the... it's like a peninsula in Canada, in Nova Scotia. And, of course, it's it's a more... less sophisticated place than New York. So this was back in like the late 70s, like 77 or something. She went with a boyfriend, and she actually had to wear a fake wedding ring. Otherwise, because they tried to get a room the first night and nobody would rent to them. So she wore a fake wedding ring.
As crazy it is, that was the norm.
That was the norm.
Yeah.
That was absolutely
That was
the norm.
the norm. Yeah.
It's like the world from 1958 to 1978.
Yeah.
Just was like
Turned
it was like
upside
another
down.
By
planet.
1970, like by the late 70s, you had the sexual revolution, you had the whole disco era.
But along with that, morals and a lot of things went out the window.
People. Well, it was the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
It was the women's movement, the sexual revolution. The pill became widely available to everyone. Everyone was doing coke
Yeah.
in clubs.
Okay, so
I love that the 70s show drew like, oh, wasn't it great back in the 70s?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
man.
it was great in a lot of ways, but not the way they made it.
you know what I was wondering? How did people get on the pill if there was such a stigma with being on the pill
You had to go to Planned Parenthood.
to get the pill?
Yes. You couldn't go to your family doctor. Or you went to... There were
ways
there
around
was always
it, though,
clinics
right?
near colleges.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was always a doctor that somebody knew who wouldn't ask questions. Okay?
Yeah.
So you'd go
But
to...
were there any I know, like, if you, for some medical reasons, you could get on the pill as a teenager. Like,
That
even
was-
now, like, it has a weird stigma, but I know a
That
girl
really
that
wasn't done then.
she got on the pill because she has some sort of
They
issue.
didn't know.
Like,
Yes.
I don't know.
They didn't know that
They
the
didn't
pill
really
helped,
know that then, and
that the pill helped
that was
those
really...
issues.
it
Oh,
was
they did.
really
So
not
there was
done
nothing.
then.
That was the
No.
only purpose. Okay.
Yes, that was the purpose.
Okay.
And you went to... There was like a clinic or Planned Parenthood, or like somebody knew a doctor who... Like everybody, like through the grapevine, would know that there was a doctor who
Yeah.
wouldn't ask questions.
Or
Jorge
judge.
Ramirez in Corona.
Never
yes,
asked
questions.
Yes, and you gave half the time you gave them a fake name or whatever, and they, because you couldn't go to your family doctor,
So how would you get the prescription filled? He would give it to you right there?
they would give them to you sometimes right there, or you would go to
They would have
Some shady
you
pharmacy?
would go to a pharmacy,
Ugh.
not where your family was.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How did people get benzos? They just gave them out.
They gave them
It's
out
like candy.
Like I remember
Birth control? No. Quaalude. Here
Yes,
you go.
my girlfriend Rachel, who was much older than me, she was almost 10 years
not
older
her
than
real
me.
name. Yes, it is.
She was she was a nurse, and she was working for a doctor, and I don't know what the hell was the deal with this doctor. This was like in the 70s.
Who's smoking cigarettes and pulling babies out?
Yeah.
Dr.
This-
Love.
This doc, somehow Rachel always had a stash of diet pills.
Excellent.
Sleeping pills.
Greatest doctor ever.
Oh yeah. When we'd go out dancing, if we needed to stay up the next day for work, like Rachel always had a
He
pill.
was a swinging jet setter.
Yeah. Doctor smoking a
Yes.
cigarette, giving a breast exam,
Yeah, and-
doing an
and-
operation at the
Eating
same
red
time.
meat and drinking martinis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people really believed that cocaine was not addictive. So there were little vials that you could wear on a chain
With
around
coke
your neck.
inside?
Yes.
That's
With a
brilliant.
little spoon in the
With
top.
little,
Oh
yes,
my
and you would
God.
go to clubs. Sometimes they didn't even have a spoon. It was just like a little vial that had a very small hole. So people would just open it on the dance floor and
And just,
Sniff them.
start sniffing the blow.
yeah.
My God, what a time.
Okay,
It was
Andrew,
kind of fun, I gotta tell
was
you.
gonna say, Andrew, I look back on the late 70s, and I gotta tell you, there were huge chunks of it that did not suck.
Yeah. Did not suck.
Absolutely.
Did not suck.
But I mean, there is so much there is so much that has changed so quickly that you tell kids this today, and
And they
they
don't
don't
Yeah.
believe you.
Well, even from
Well,
my time. I mean, I was in high school 10 years ago.
Did you ever own vinyl, like records?
Oh my God! Do you see my vinyl collection now?
That's right. You
Yeah,
do.
that's-
I mean,
I'm a big vinyl collector.
yeah, but there are kids like within a few years of
No
your
clue.
age, no clue.
My
about
brothers are so clueless to things like I know a lot about older stuff, and I don't know if it's a generational thing or if it's just me. Like I know a lot about things that aren't in my time. They are absolutely clueless
A lot of young people are.
about anything pre 2000.
Yeah, I know.
I often wonder what it's like for someone of that mindset to watch a movie where no one like from the 40s, where no one carries a cell phone.
Yeah.
The
There's no
40s.
You know what I always
no,
wonder?
No. I meant
Here's-
like if they watch a detective movie from the 40s.
This is
like
one
it's like
time.
why don't they just call each other on their cell phones?
Like the whole cocaine thing. I never related to it. I'm more of a downer guy. Like I like to drink if I'm having. I'm already out of my mind. Like the drug thing is not crazy for me. What I do wish was still not frowned upon is business people drinking all day long. Like you
Like
watch
Mad
Mad
Men.
Men.
Yes.
You watch Mad Men. They're drinking
Oh, yeah.
from
At 10.
10 o'clock
Oh, yeah.
the entire day. And
And take a 2-hour lunch.
and I remember I was a kid, and I don't know if it was a doctor. I'm trying to remember what it was. This had to have been, and it was one of my first like wow moments. I had to have been like 5 years old, probably like 5 or 6, and it was my doctor. Yeah, that's what it was. And we went to his office, and in his office he had the glass thing for like the scotch, like the
Yeah,
like
everyone
the
had a
pour and
Scotch
everything.
decanter. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell it's called. And he had that, and he was drinking
Yeah,
while he was talking to my mother.
sure.
And I was so amazed. I'm like, but he is working.
No, you know what's even better is doctors,
The doctors,
smoking.
yeah. Smoking, yeah.
Smoking
Commercials
in the
commercials
hospital.
smoking in the hospital, smoking rooms in the. I remember smoking.
Well, I
rooms.
remember smoking in the hospital. I was still,
In
and
the
the
waiting-
doctor smoking in the waiting room too.
Yep.
Yeah. People
Well, I
smoking.
remember literally doctors smoking in the doctor's office
Yeah.
while they were talking to you.
At what point did the drinking at work stop? Because I want to kick that person's ass.
Well, you know what it is. The moment
It actually
people started
slowed-
making like in the
Yeah, a lot of
70s.
money.
Yeah, it was the
70s.
70s.
In the 70s, people started making big money, and when people saw that there was big money to be made, people just leisure time. From
It
the
really
time from the
became
beginning
a
of the
bi-
from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, like in the 1820s, all the way up to the 1970s, all people did was invent ways for us to have more and more and more leisure time.
Yeah.
And now we've just
And now
we're
just-
taking it away.
You know,
Well, what do you think? What do you think I started this network for?
Now we're taking it away.
I want to
because-
drink all day.
Well, listen, when I first got out of college and I started working in the city, I was working at CBS and I was working in one of their sales departments. And my bosses would go out every day for like a 2-hour lunch
the liquid lunch.
and often would come home, come back a little happy.
Yeah. Oh, is that what? Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. At least
Yeah, you arrive
three
at
times
10.
a week.
Arrive at 10. Out to lunch at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come back at like 3.
Come back at 3 and leave at 4:30.
Yeah.
that was the work day.
No, they would work. No,
they would work late, but they would drink.
But
they were drinking.
oh yeah, they
But
would.
they were-
I
drink.
mean, that's amazing, right? Like, can you imagine
They
now
would-
you go into, an ad agency, let's say Mad Men, an ad
Forget
agency,
it.
you go in, you're meeting with the CEO, and he's drinking. It's like 1 o'clock and he offers
Yeah.
you a drink. Can you imagine what would
I know.
the uproar for that company?
Not only did people do it, but if you walked into the room and you offered them a drink and they said
They said no?
They thought you were
some-
weird.
They
Yeah.
would think you were weird.
Yeah.
Now I will say they didn't drink in the office anymore. That had stopped. There was no drinking like in the office. People weren't sitting in the office drinking.
Can you imagine how loaded people got? I mean, and it was acceptable. Nobody
yeah.
questioned it.
Oh yeah, but they would go out to lunches and then
But we would even do that when I was working in retail and I was going with corporate or something.
No,
we would all go
I-
out and have like a drink for lunch.
nobody does it anymore.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, nobody does it anymore. As a matter
Also-
of fact, people don't even take lunch hours anymore.
Yeah.
Right, and all
They
those
don't.
lunches used to be paid by
Oh
the
yeah.
company.
Yeah.
They'd write them off. I was having a meeting with this one, that one. I would get their expense. I would get their
I would love to
receipts.
work like in that time.
I used to have to do my boss's expense reports every week, okay? And one or every month. And and one of my bosses, George, who was a trip, he was a ladies' man. He really was. He was not married. I'll give him that. And he was a ladies' man. He had loads of girlfriends. He would go out to lunch, or he would be out at a meeting, and he would say to me, okay, now, if Sarah calls, tell her I'm at lunch. If Mary calls, tell her I'm out of town for a couple of days. And he would give me like a list,
Yeah.
okay? So he would give me his American Express receipts, at the end of the month to do his expense account report. And he would have receipts from the Southampton motel, like on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, George, how am I supposed to justify this? Say it was a meeting with so-and-so.
I took a
At the
meeting.
motel. I took a meeting. It was a quick one. It was only 20 minutes, but it was a meeting.
Who's a power meeting?
I call when I don't want to talk to somebody. Well, I shouldn't say this. When I don't want to talk to Coco, I tell him I'm in a meeting, and he'll call me, and I'm always in a meeting when he calls, and it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm like, Coco, I can't talk. I'm in a meeting, and I'm talking to I don't know, my father. I justify everything as a meeting, but no, I mean this year, since we're making some money, I have to show, and I have to start
Right.
and I'm really careful with the receipts. So I just spent like $2,000 on updating the studio. And I'm like, oh no, this is a write-off. That's a write-off. We went out to lunch. The lunch is a write-off because they're all involved in the workday.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So crazy though. It's
That's
great
true.
stuff.
Oh, but I mean, it was crazy. It was, people used to just, and back then on a weekend, or once you went home from work, or on vacation. When you went on vacation, you were on vacation.
Yeah, now
you
you
were
are.
unreachable. You were unreachable.
I can't do that.
It was unthinkable that I would call.
Now
even if
you're
I knew-
required.
First
by
of all,
jobs.
probably my boss wouldn't even tell me where he was on vacation.
Yeah, no clue. Yeah.
Right.
You couldn't reach him.
But if he did, even if he did,
you would never
I
dare
would
call him.
never. His God forbid his child would have had to be in the hospital or something for me to call him when he was out. And now you're tied to that frickin' BlackBerry 24/7.
Yeah. That's interesting. I actually wanted to talk about a documentary I saw, but we'll save that for next week. It's called, it was on PBS, I believe last night. It's ADD and Loving It. Have you seen that?
No.
It was
Dear.
really, it's done pretty well. PBS was airing it. It's a Canadian, I guess, production company that I put it together. It's done really well. We'll talk about it next week, though. I'll
Okay.
save it for that. Go to our website, guys, guysfromqueens.com. Also go to streaming site, gfqlive.tv. We have all our shows archived on our site. We're on iTunes. We're on the Zoom. We're pretty much everywhere you could imagine. But go to our site. You could hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to all our shows. Also, you can watch our live shows pretty much every night. We have a schedule on gfqlive.tv. And we'll see you all next week. Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Good night.